You can heal yourself, you can heal, and a lot of people's disease and cancer and different things. I mean, when you're in a low vibration state, it sends a cascade of negative physiological processes through your body. Your digestion shuts down, your blood pressure goes up, you have stress hormones that go through your system. So this isn't just about like being a nice person. This is taking care of yourself and your community. And then you think about our community leads to bigger communities and bigger communities and bigger communities. And we have this human race community and this whole world community, all the different animals and species. And we need to honor all that.
Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We're veterans, here to talk about mental health, resilience, and the real struggles we face every day.
Our goal is to foster kindness through understanding. So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome.
Today, we're joined once again by somebody who has left a mark on our hearts as well as on our audience, and that is Ryan Higginson.
Yeah, Ryan is someone who doesn't just speak from knowledge. He speaks from a place of wisdom, from actual experience. He's plumbed the depths of consciousness and explored the silence between words.
Yeah, very, very much so. Ryan has definitely had some of the most provocative and thought-provoking episodes on our show. Maybe provocative is not the right word. I don't know. Aaron, you're the wordsmith, not me. But, today's conversation with Ryan, we're going to find ourselves in a couple different areas, all of which I think are very important and interesting to listen to nonetheless. We're going to be talking about living in harmony and living with our bodies and how to speak even if we don't know who we're speaking to. We might have a conversation or two about bees, and we might even get into the concept of the different ages we're currently living through. And of course, all of this ties back into the collective consciousness that Ryan has introduced to us.
And we can't really make any promises because, like every conversation with Ryan, we're going to go where the conversation leads us. Ryan has brought some very complex ideas he wants to explore with us, such as how your consciousness pours into the collective consciousness and how that affects the new world we can visualize and manifest through that visualization, and changing our world to change the world writ large, if I'm understanding correctly. But I'll let the man, the myth, the legend, he's a healer, he's a guru, don't let him be humble. I'm sorry, he's going to be humble. And just say he just helps people learn what he's learned. Ryan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, I've been in the world of healing for the last 30 years, and initially through just healing, one person at a time through body work and working with energy and conversations. But I'm really getting more and more passionate about the healing of the collective, which is becoming crucial at this point. And the collective doesn't just involve the human beings, it also involves nature, right? And one thing that's been on my radar the last little while is there's a big problem happening right now with the bee population. And if you don't know how nature works, bees pollinate everything for our food, right? And so it's a pretty big deal. And I've read studies that over just the last few years, about 80% of the world's bee population has been decimated. And I've got a few beehives going right now. I would urge anyone to get into bees, and I'm kind of doing my part. Plus, beekeeping is one of the coolest things that you can experience. I watched a video that Highland put out recently about he had
the swarm
beehive and it was swarming, and they were able to bring them back in, and man, that was incredible to see that. So the energy of bees is really potent. Even their venom there's a therapy where these practitioners will do bee sting venom and therapy, and So I was listening to this guy. He said you should try and get stung about 200 times a year, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Several
what?
cultures, Tim, also believe. So you can also use stinging nettles either on your body or in tea,
Yeah,
and poison ivy with dandelion to
yeah,
build your immune system and reduce your allergy response. If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken, Ryan.
yeah. Those things you mentioned really help with the function of the liver
So
specifically.
this is all stuff that we've lost because we've stopped trusting shaman.
Yeah, and we've stopped trusting nature, right?
Yeah. What
And I
the
mean, nature has all the answers for everything. And so I put the bees in my hives, and I didn't wear a bee suit, and I got stung 4 times. And I'm like, yes, getting started, you know. And
I've
yeah,
only got to learn this lesson 196 more times.
For this year, at least.
What a
Yeah,
great
Next year
start.
starts over.
yeah.
What a great start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So, you know, a big problem is that a lot of the people in our culture are using all these pesticides. And, you know, a lot of these pesticides aren't allowed in other countries. You know, just because
Yeah.
they sell them in the stores doesn't mean they're okay to use. And not only do they harm the bees, I mean, I'm on these forums in Facebook, these bee forums, and I see post after post of people who have just lost their whole colony. And I even put one on my feed where it showed a picture of a bee that had all this pollen all over its legs, so it was definitely active, and it had its tongue sticking way out, and it had gone over to some neighbor's yard where it got into some dandelion, which is the bee's first food in the springtime. Dandelions are the bee's first food, so they rely on that. And you know, and died, and some people are losing their whole colony just by the neighbor spraying their dandelions. And
Oh
And
my God.
if I may, for
yeah,
those who don't care as much about bees, who aren't as connected with nature, they're also seeing huge rates of lung cancer for those who live along golf courses.
yeah,
So these pesticides are not only poisoning nature, if you don't care about nature because you'd rather be inside a mall with artificial lighting and huge AC vents and like Freon or whatever they're doing,
Yeah. True.
as opposed to outside, like this is also killing people. Yes,
Mhm.
we love the bees. We care about the bees. We need to save the bees. We're going to be getting a hive, but it's killing people too. So we have to solve this problem.
yeah,
Not only will it help heal nature, and you should want that if you're a good person, which I think everyone's trying to be, it will also save our lives in the process through raising
Yeah.
the collective consciousness.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ryan, go ahead.
Well, just real quick, just to clarify on that too, there was a study that was done in 1994, and they were specifically looking at like the golf course superintendents who have an increased risk of lung cancer due to pesticide exposure.
Mhm.
I mean, you can just Google search this information if anybody out there is doubting it, but yeah, it's out there. You can look it up. You can see it. These are factual things that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, we have one of the sickest countries out of all the developed countries, and we spend about 4 times per capita on healthcare. But we also allow way more pesticides and herbicides in our country than many of these other developed countries. So it can be done without these things. It's
course.
just, you know, it's big money for certain corporations, and we've got to start to pay attention to that. Because like you said, it's not just affecting nature, but it's really affecting our health. And I mean, the chronic disease in our country is rampant. And so one of the best things you can do for your health is support your liver. And it turns out one of the best things you can do for your liver is eat dandelion.
Oh, nice.
And so dandelion, it should be considered a sacred plant. I mean, every part of the dandelion can be eaten. I mean, you pay attention to nature. I have a couple of tortoises that live in my garden, a couple Russian tortoises.
Oh, I'm sure they eat every dandelion.
Oh yeah, they can have like their natural grasses sitting there, lettuce, and if there's dandelion available, they go straight to the dandelion. You know, there's a reason for that. It's really nutrient dense. I go to a really nice high-end restaurant here in town called Rautopia. If you go to Salt Lake, that's the best restaurant in town. Healthiest food out there, and they have these dandelion salads that they make. When I first started gardening like 30 years ago, my first like personal home garden, when I got my first house, I was pulling all the dandelions out because I thought those were weeds, right? And then I walk into the kitchen, and my wife at the time had just come home from Whole Foods, having just bought a bunch of dandelion, to, to eat. And I'm like, why am I pulling those out of the garden? And I starting on dandelion, and man, dandelion will really help support your liver, and the supporting of the liver is crucial for your immune system and the detoxification process.
Yeah, no. So I did want to point out something here real quick, since we were talking about the bees situation. A lot of current scientists are thinking that we are either currently living through or we're about to go through a sixth major extinction event.
Yeah.
A lot of this is talking about how in the 21st century, we have lost anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times the biodiversity, and extinction rates have been dramatically increasing, and they're seeing that on a rise with the increase of the human population. But yeah, no, there's a lot of things that's going on right now where scientists are taking a look at, and I highly recommend people to look this up. I can't pronounce it correctly. I think it's like Holocene. The Holocene extinction, also known as the Anthropocene extinction. But if you just Google search sixth mass extinction, you'll be able to find the information and be able to go to the Wikipedia page or whatever source you want to cite for it. But yeah, the bees, like, it's a huge problem. And the reason being is like our ecosystem is so tight knit, like once we start seeing like I remember being a kid and being like, why do mosquitoes exist? Like, those are the worst damn things that's ever been on this planet. I'm like, all they do is suck your blood and then they fly away like little bastards.
Make you itchy.
Make you itchy as hell. You're angry the entire time about them. And then, I had a really awesome science teacher who talked a lot about biodiversity and how the ecosystem actually works. And it's like, yes, mosquitoes are annoying, but mosquito eggs, right, on still ponds or whatever, feed the fishes that live in there. Hell, he had a pool on top of the school where he kept still water so he could farm mosquito eggs. And he would go out, get the mosquito eggs, and he would feed them to his fish because he had an entire classroom full of fish and stuff. It was
the
so
earth is
cool.
trying to feed us and heal us despite us doing nothing but harming her.
Right.
Yeah,
We've got to give nature a hand at this point,
Yeah. And I'm curious, so how does all of this like feed into the collective conscious, though, Ryan?
Well, yeah, the collective consciousness, I think in the first podcast we did, I talked about your individual consciousness, paying attention to your thoughts and developing high vibration thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and creating a reality based on that, right? For reality. So we have this potential of love, compassion, empathy, gratitude, service, and those are the highest vibration thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And so the more we can get into that state individually, we start to affect the collective. And there's been a lot of research on this now. It's really cool. A lot of these things that have been talked about for ages from these, indigenous cultures and just, really wise people. A lot of people kind of discount because they there's no science behind it, no proof that they see.
They
right?
haven't experienced it.
They haven't experienced it. Yeah. So it's just like rhetoric to them. But now science is starting to prove these things. I don't know if you study Joe Dispenza at all. He runs these massive retreats. Over 1,000 people will show up, and they all meditate at the same time and with the same intentions. And they'll even have a group of people that meditate for one person who's going through something severe, cancer or some gnarly physical thing, and they've had amazing healings that have happened through these things.
Let us know if you want to do meditation retreats at my place. Yeah.
Oh, right on.
We can absolutely make that happen.
Yeah.
It'd be so super beneficial.
We kind of like tongue in cheek made a joke about like saying we're starting a 8,000 Hearts movement. We now have over 8,000 subs, so we could have the start of the 8,000 Heart movements right here in the room with us now, Ryan.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I think the more people that start to pay attention to these things, and you know, a lot, like I said, a lot of people don't pay attention until they see like proof of it. And now, you know, one thing that's really awesome is that, you know, the amount of information that can get out really quickly. People are being exposed to all these different things, and it's really incredible what I've learned so much just through, you know, looking at some different podcasts with scientists and some different apps to look at. But and there's starting to become really cutting edge information, like you had mentioned the telepathy tapes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And one
yeah.
of my favorite, if I may, one of my favorite lectures by you is the Ho'oponopono.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to find the link to that video, but
Right.
it is, you tell it so compellingly and so
Oh, yeah.
compassionately. So we're gonna add that link. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, the Ho'oponopono, that comes from Hawaii, I believe, and it's a technology. It's sort of like a mantra, and there's a lot of depth to it, man. It's basically pretty simple. It's like 4 phrases. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Yep.
And
it's like a spell.
I do that. Yeah, it's like a spell, right? And I do that at the end of every session that with clients doing body work. I'll be doing neck work, and I traction their spine, and I go into this, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, just in my mind.
To heal.
And it opens up, I can see their energy field, and then I can work energetically with their field, and kind of I can see places where it's kind of blank or deficient, and I can fill that in. Some of my clients can actually feel that. I've had a few people be like, "Oh, you're working on me right now, not just working on your neck." She's, you know, like I can feel the energy.
I think this ties into your mastery of structural massage therapy with your, you know, over 60,000 hours of hands-on healing. I think a good masseuse, not structural massage therapist, but a good masseuse can kind of follow the pain or kind of like bring relaxation to your body. Whereas I think structural massage therapy is learning the order of things and putting things back in order. And a lot of times that's through healing the energy field, which is kind of our brain and consciousness. Am I getting this right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so, you know, I love you is not just I love you as a person. It's like feeling you're opening your heart chakra. And so you feel the love for not just the person, but just feel love in general, right? So a lot of people have a hard time just generating the frequency of love. They have to see something that they love or have a situation that they love to feel love, right?
But what you reap is what you sow.
Way of developing love. So the mastery of love is generating the feeling of love when there's nothing in front of you to love. And once you get to that place, like you get to a place where nothing really phases you because you love everything. Yeah. You love the hard things. I have a new puppy, and she's in this phase of thinking that everything is hers to chew, right? So I come home and there's all kinds of stuff all over the floor that she's found. Now she's pulling things off the counter.
Oh God.
And, you know, like day before yesterday, I came home and there's this pulsetto vagus nerve stimulator thing that I have, $300 thing that's like in pieces all over the floor. And, you know, it's easy to get pissed with situations like that because it's just one thing after another. Each day I come home and it's like, what am I going to find today? So I get to choose. You know, I texted my wife and I said, "This is the best dog I've ever had at teaching me patience." You know?
Yeah. That's something I've been trying to convey is like, you can call up whatever emotion you want. You can choose to be happy, which is what you're kind of talking about, it sounds like.
Yeah. So, you know, initially there's a feeling of disappointment as soon as I walk in the house when there's a $300 thing that just got chewed up. But I immediately go to what can I learn from this, right? And you know, what how can I put myself into a higher vibration? So I think, oh, she's teaching me patience again. And that kind of calms the whole thing. And, she's a puppy. Puppies do these things. And I always also think it could be much more. Like I have a step brother whose dog totally destroyed 2 couches.
Oh God.
And then
Oh
got
gosh.
the dog into a room so they could
Oh,
go run some
gosh.
errands after the second couch, and the dog chewed through the door.
Yep.
Right. And
Oh,
I always think
gosh.
about that. 'Cause I'm like, man, this is pretty nominal compared to what it could be.
Pretty easy lesson.
But these little situations, we always get presented with these situations that give us an opportunity to develop our consciousness. And so I always figure out a way to get back to love, right? And the harder the situation, the more mastery you can get in finding that place of love. But also, a lot of people have a hard time just generating the feeling of love, and especially loving themselves. A lot of people have a lot of self-judgment. And so, you can think about like the external avenue for love of, I have my kids I love, my dogs I love, my wife I love, my practice I love. Those are external things. But man, I love myself so much, and I love the feeling of love, and just but when you get into this self-generated feeling of love without any external circumstances, then you just see things to love all around you all the time. And even like the person who and like someone who yells at you or whatever, you can go right to I love that person. Because you're in the state of love, right? So it's harder for you to become triggered, or harder for you to revert to judgment, or and what happens is that there's healing that happens. I was on a dog walk probably a year and a half ago, and I don't use leashes because my dogs are trained to stop at the curb, and they always come back when I call them to come back. So I'm 2 streets away, and I'm walking up the street, and this old couple is on their porch, and the woman yells, your dogs need to be on a leash. And I said, oh, my dogs don't present any problems. They come when I call them, and they're fine. And there's really no need for them to be on a leash. And she got more angry. She's like, well, your dogs need to be on a leash. And it's not easy when someone's attacking you to go right to love. And my first thought was to tell her husband, you should keep your wife on a leash.
Yo.
Oh gosh.
I didn't do that.
Wow.
Thank God. But I immediately went to love, and I thought, well, there's a reason that she's feeling angry today and just looking for something to lash out at. And so I said, well, I hope you have a beautiful day. And I walked away with my dogs. Then like a year later, just a few months ago, I'm walking on the same street. I pick up all the dog shit that's all over, all the dog shit that I see, whether it's my dogs or not, right?
Yeah.
I have bags with me. And so I'm walking up their street toward their house, and I see a bunch of dog shit on the sidewalk, and I pull out a bag, and I'm picking it all up. And I see this old dog that had just laid it down, and it happened to be her dog, not on a leash. And I walk past, and she and her husband were sitting on the porch, and I don't think she remembered me from before. And she goes, hey, would your dogs like a treat? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I walk up, and she gives my dogs a treat. They weren't on a leash. And I sat there and chatted with them for like a half an hour and made really good friends with them. And so, and even that initial conversation we had where she yelled at me, I walked for the rest of the walk. I just sent her love. I just love this woman. And, that sends a vibration out when you pinpointed love someone or some situation, and you can change the situation. If I had told her husband, you should keep your wife on a leash, I'm sure she'd remember that, and we'd have like this animosity toward each other. So yeah. I healed that relationship by the first response was, I hope you have a beautiful day, and then just sending her love through the rest of the walk. Next time I had an interaction with her, it was loving, So it just healed that relationship. And man, we have this opportunity all the time, but the key to it is to generate this feeling of love within yourself. That's your fallback. That's your way of being. And then every situation, you can look at it from that space. You can heal yourself. You can heal. And a lot of people's disease and cancer and different things, I mean, when you're in a low vibration state, it sends a cascade of negative physiological processes through your body, right? Your digestion shuts down, your heart, your blood pressure goes up, you have stress hormones that go through your system. That can all develop into like some chronic disease. So this isn't just about like being a nice person. This is taking care of yourself and your community. And then you think about our community leads to bigger communities and bigger communities and bigger communities. And we have this human race community and this whole world community, all the different animals and species. And we need to honor all that. And I think the foundation of that is our own consciousness that we develop. And as we develop this, and the stronger you get with that, the higher vibration you hold, the more it reverberates out. And, so that ho'oponopono, I love you, isn't just I love you, it's I love, right? I love. And it's a vibration. And then I'm sorry isn't like, I'm sorry I did something wrong. I'm saying I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you to every single client that I work on. I haven't done anything wrong to the person. I'm sorry is like an acknowledgement that we have a role in every, we're co-creating a reality. And so it's really acknowledging our place in everything, right? And understanding that we're a part of everything that's in reality, everything that's been created, we're a part of, we're all one. You start to get to a place to where you understand that we're all one, and you understand that we all have a hand in everything. And so I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me is, it's not like, again, I didn't do something wrong to the person, please forgive me. It's more like this interaction between I am a part of everything and you are a part of everything. And let's get to a place of being beautiful toward each other all the time, right? And then thank you is gratitude, the highest vibration frequency. So you're sort of programming your field and the person's field into this high vibration frequency. And listen to that, the telepathy tapes. I listened to the woman who developed those. She's been on a few podcasts, and I was listening to her talk, and she's like, we really need to clean up our thoughts because these people are tapping in. And it's not just the people, we all have that ability, we all have that potential. Some of these people who are autistic or don't even realize they have a body, they're working from a completely different field, and they're able to do these telepathy things. But we all have that within us, and we're all affecting each other with our thoughts and what we put out. So it's like we have a responsibility at this point, because a lot of things are pretty gnarly that we've co-created, that we have a responsibility to clean that up and clean up the pollution in the earth, clean up our relationships, clean up the corruption, clean up our thoughts, right? And so it's, and what's cool about the Joe Dispenza work is they're like proving that just pinpointed thoughts and a lot of people doing it toward one thing, that it's creating these incredible healings. I mean, he has all these scientists that work with him that wire people's brains up, and they can see in real time when they're going into a certain brainwave state in their meditation. And there's story after story of people who have healed things within themselves, and then also a group of people meditating on one person and healing that thing within them. And so this information is starting to really come to the surface, and it's always been there, it's always been a thing, but all this new technology, and I talked about the Heart Math Institute before.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing they can actually register the strength of the bioelectromagnetic field coming off the heart, right?
I think you have so beautifully explained meta meditation that I'd like to highlight a few things and make sure I'm hearing correctly before we move forward. How's that sound?
Yeah. Yeah.
So meta meditation is loving kindness medication. Well, it is medication. It's loving kindness meditation. And a few avenues to get there is oneness, realizing that we are all one. The person who's yelling at you about your dog, instead of thinking this person's attacking me, how can I attack them back better? You think, why am I like that over there? What is that me going through that they need help with? And how can I help? And the thing is, once you say have a great day and start walking away, you're not done helping. You have to keep helping energetically.
Yeah.
And then you talked about, there's an old story about, it's like a Zen meditation analogy or whatever, but it's if you're walking with a cup of tea and someone bumps into you and you spill tea, what caused the tea to spill? And the answer is that the tea was in the cup. So whatever you have in your cup, when jostled, will overflow. So make sure you fill yourself with loving kindness.
Nice. I love that.
So you've explained all these things so well. I think I have to send you all my Buddhist texts, because once you hear the things that I've already heard, you'll be like, oh, that's how I do it. And you'll just already be a Buddha.
Just already be a Buddha, yeah.
I think we're all Buddhas already. We just have to disassemble the things that aren't Buddha, right?
Yes. We have to let go of the I we think we are for the I that we are to be.
Yeah. There's this. I listen to a lot of people who talk about sort of the ancient teachings and some of these sort of prophecies or just teachings from indigenous elders and a lot of different traditions too talk about the same thing. And there are these different ages that humanity has gone through and is going through, and they're about 1,000-year ages each one. And the last one, they called it the Piscean age, and we're just stepping into the Aquarian age. But the last one, I believe, ended when the Mayan calendar ended. So, I remember 2011, Mayan calendar ends in 2012, right? And I remember 2011, all these people talking about how the world's going to end. There's going to be an apocalypse or something. The world's going to end in 2012 because the Mayan calendar ends in 2012. How could it keep going? And I've heard a number of people talk about how the Mayan calendar ending was the end of the last age.
Yeah.
And the last 1,000-year age which was kind of a dark age of a lot of divisiveness, a lot of war, a lot of, corruption, a lot of, people looking out for themselves at the expense of other people, and a lot of religious persecution and all kinds of issues like that. So this next 1,000-year age, we're only 13 years into, right? And so it's like the very first half a step into this next 1,000 years. And they call it the next 1,000 years the golden age, or the age of a higher vibration, higher consciousness. So what I see from that perspective is that it seems chaotic right now, because all of the things that are not part of a higher vibration is being exposed right now and coming to the surface. And for something to, like, if you want to boil impurities out of the water, you boil it and the impurities come to the surface, And so in a lot of different genres, we're like the corruption is being exposed right now. And it's like a lot of it's always been there and it's been like building over the last while. But what's cool is that there's being replacements for all these different things, right? So you look at, say, the food system. There's massive amount of corruption in the food system. You know, if you listen to the history of what happened with our food, you know, way back, the cigarette companies were the biggest companies, and they were, you know, had massive amounts of funding, and they hired all these scientists to make the cigarettes really addictive. And they put all these chemicals in the cigarettes to make them burn faster and make them more addictive. And even some doctors were recommending their patients smoke a cigarette because they didn't know that they cause cancer. They're like, oh, it'll take the edge off at the end of the day, you know, reduce your stress. Then it came out that they're causing cancer. So all these massive companies pivoted and bought a bunch of food companies. They use the same scientists to make the food extremely addictive, right? So the U.S. allows over 10,000 food additives, and Europe and Canada allows about 400. And so these additives don't need to be in the food, and even like high fructose corn syrup reduces the effect of the hormone that makes you feel satiated. And then they put it in our face, right? You can't have just one. Well,
They've been saying
just like a cigarette.
Yeah, they've engineered it that way, right? And it's making our population extremely sick, and that's being exposed right now. And so the food industry is really under fire. And there's a replacement that's really gaining a lot of speed. Like I listened to this guy who started White Oak Pastures, and I believe, I forget his name, but he had a conventional farm that he was 5th generation farmer. He had a conventional farm. So a conventional farm, they use pesticides and herbicides. They do monocrop agriculture. Kills off the soil microbes. They have to use synthetic fertilizer to grow the plants, and there's the nutrient value is pathetic. I think I listened to Dr. Mark Hyman talk about that you'd have to eat 30 cabbages now to get the nutrient value of one cabbage 30 years ago.
And I think it's like 8 oranges to have the same vitamin C that one orange had back in the day.
Yeah,
like even in the 60s.
The nutrient density is going way down because of this conventional farming.
So you have to eat more in order to get your nutritional needs met.
Yeah, so people are nutrient deficient. They're eating a lot of calories, but not getting nutrition. You know, and which makes them want to eat more food. Their body knows I need more nutrition, so it's like, you know, you're going to need to eat more food. So the obesity epidemic is gnarly in our country. But this guy, White Oak Pastures, he turned his farm into a biodynamic farm. And I believe, and it's a farm and a ranch, and he supplies, I think all or a major portion of the grass-fed pasture-raised meat that you see in Whole Foods. So he's shown that it can be done on a massive scale. And he's written a book on it. And
you're talking about Will Harris?
Yeah, I think so. Is that Will Harris?
Yeah.
White Oak Pastures?
Quick Google search says he's the leader of White Oak
Pastures. Yeah. So he was on Joe Rogan.
Sweet.
Great interview. You ought to check that out.
Oh, right.
Really cool guy. And you know, it used to be the conversation was, well, yeah, biodynamic farming sounds great, but how are we going to feed the masses? And he's showing it can be done. So biodynamic farming is no herbicides or pesticides. You're using natural things. You're rotating the crops. Yeah?
Dude, yeah, if you just replace like one carport in every major city with a food garden or like a vertical food tower, like the city would be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can all, you know, I grow a great big garden every year in my yard. I live on 0.11 acres, right? About 1/10 of an acre,
wow.
But I have a massive garden. And, you know, you can do it.
Don't have a lawn, have a garden.
Yeah.
New shirt, Tim.
Yeah.
Something, right? Yeah. Or have a small lawn if you want a place for the dogs to poop and have a picnic or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not not eating a picnic with the dog poop, but yeah, so it's doable. And there's also this company called they're creating what they call food forests, and they've gone huge.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And they're creating a way to educate people on how to do that.
Yep.
Even people are doing businesses where they're starting to do that. So there's a replacement for all of the corrupt systems that are coming, that are under fire right now. So another one is the medical industry.
Yeah.
So there's allopathic medicine and there's functional medicine. Allopathic medicine is geared toward basically masking symptoms.
Yep.
Right.
Eat another pill.
Yeah. And so the system's set up that way because it's really profitable. Functional medicine is geared toward getting down to the root of the cause and dealing with that. So instead of masking symptoms, they honor symptoms. You know, there's a reason you have the symptom. And I had a client who came in, she had severe Bell's palsy, you know, which is where the whole face is paralyzed. She even had to walk around with a washcloth because she drool out of her mouth, and she had to shut her eye with her palm because it'd dry out. And I was working on her, and she wanted me to see if there's a tension pattern that was causing it. And so while I'm working on it, I'm kind of tuning in, like energetically. And I got the hit to ask her what she does for a living. And she goes, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm like, where do you work? And she goes, the airport. And I'm like, are you exposed to like all the fumes from the airplanes there? And she's like, oh yeah, my office is in the hangar. I'm in like airplane fumes all the time. And she goes, when I started the job, I had severe headaches, and they gave me some medication to deal with that. And I'm like, well, the headaches was the whisper. This Bell's palsy is the shout, right? You've got a massive toxic overload that you've got to deal with. And, you know, I would look for a different job, get out of that situation and go into a big chemical cleanse. And there's, you know, it's really important right now. It's never talked about in our culture for some reason, except for, you know, the functional medicine people, naturopaths and people like that. But there's a really big need to do cleanses in our culture. We need to look out for ourselves. So there's heavy metal cleanse, there's parasite cleanse, fungus cleanse, liver cleanse, kidney cleanse, digestive cleanse, and you know,
can
if you
you
don't
send us a link
you know, a lot
to
of
that
people.
stuff?
I live in Salt Lake, and there can be this big. I mean, there's so much information on that. A really good way to get with a professional on that is, so my wife is a Czech practitioner. She teaches for the Czech Institute.
Yeah.
It's Holistic Health Institute. And she learned through that. She teaches for them, CHEK, Czech Institute. And there are Czech practitioners all over the place. He's been teaching people for like 45 years. And Paul Czech is just a complete genius. And he's got a podcast and all this. He's really into like spirituality now, which is kind of, you know, like I said, there's the physical, emotional, and then the spiritual, and all of that needs to be healed. And he's taking it to that level now. But yeah, so my wife, Nicole, she took me through fungus cleanse initially because my old office had mold in it, and I got really sick from that. And then I went through heavy metal cleanse and parasite cleanse. I mean, there are other countries that it's just normal for everyone to do a parasite cleanse every year. You never hear about it in our country. And, you know, some of these cleanses are kind of hard to do. The fungus cleanse is ideally 100 days where you starve out the fungus with a specific diet, and then you take these different antifungals. Parasite cleanse is a lot easier. There's these anti-parasite things. Although parasites thrive with heavy metals, they can make this biofilm around them to protect them if they get in contact with something that could do them harm. So it's good to do a heavy metal cleanse along with the parasite cleanse. But there's a lot of heavy metals in our environment all over the place. And
Antiperspirants have aluminum in them. And so many people are like, no, it's a myth. No,
it's true.
If it says antiperspirant, look at the back. It says aluminum.
Aluminum. Yeah. Yeah, you're putting that right where the lymph goes through, right?
And it's a sweaty, porous surface. So it's getting absorbed right there through the skin.
Yeah, and you really shouldn't put things on your skin that you wouldn't put in your mouth because your skin absorbs everything.
Lidocaine.
Yeah. So a lot of these...
Why is our society so off from these cleanses though? Like if it's normal in other places, like, and if we wanted to break it down and talk about like economics here, right? Like, couldn't all these like companies, big pharma and whatnot, just sell the same cleanses and, you know, make money from that?
What
Like,
would
oh,
that
make
do
sure
to their
you do
bottom
your,
line?
I mean, if they're marketing a cleanse and you have to buy it every year, I mean, don't you think that's a guaranteed a sale every year for that regard, right?
They might get a tiny amount for that because it doesn't cost much to do these cleanses. It's more lifestyle. But what that would do is really affect their bottom line because they really thrive with people being sick.
Yeah.
So if you have really bad toxic overload, you give that system a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So, and we could go down the rabbit hole of the corruption. The pharmaceutical industry funds more than half of the FDA, more than half of the CDC, about 75% of the mainstream media, lobbying for all the politicians. And the pharmaceutical company and the food industry are hand in hand at this point. So Bayer bought Monsanto. Monsanto makes the stuff that causes cancer. Bayer creates the medication to treat cancer. It's a pretty corrupt system all the way around.
You're kidding me.
No.
You're
Yeah,
kidding
you
me.
can look that up.
You can literally look it up. The world is actually this evil, and that's why people are like shouting nowadays.
Yeah, so we need to take our health into our own hands. We can't rely on a corrupt system for our health. So for me, I've never been to an allopathic doctor my entire adult life because I don't trust that system. I will see a natural path if I need to. I've worked with Nicole, who's taken me through all these cleanses, right? I also have all these practices. I do sauna almost every day. I do ice baths. I do some meditation, some breath work, and even things like that pulsetto vagus nerve stimulator. And then I make sure that I have good circadian rhythm, the right sleep. I mean, it's a full lifestyle to deal with all that, and I'm extremely healthy because of that, right?
And for anyone feeling overwhelmed right now, understand that the medicine finds you when you're ready. So you don't have to memorize and know every single thing that Ryan's talking to you about. If you have a friend who knows that you need lemon balm tincture and is like, hey, I made this lemon balm tincture, I think it might be good for you. Or like you remember one of the things that Ryan said, or you're like, oh, I have headaches a lot. Maybe I should drink peppermint tea in the morning instead of coffee so that, you know, I'm cleansing instead of pouring more acid into my GI tract, which is essentially half of your body's brain.
Yeah.
But if you keep looking externally for a savior, they're going to keep duping you. They're going to keep selling you stuff. People who care about you, like my friend Dr. Ben Green, he's going to charge you little to nothing for the remedy. But here's the thing. You have to take it every day because you have to change your life to change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to take responsibility for your health and wellness. And we've, as a culture, have given that power away to a corrupt system. But what's really cool, again, that corrupt system is under fire right now. I mean, I even have doctors. I have a number of doctors I work on, and I had this critical care doctor who came in, and she's first thing she said was, allopathic medicine sucks. And I was like, wow. And she'd just come from work, and she said, I really wish I'd gone into osteopathy or become a naturopath or something like that. Because, you know, a lot of these doctors are going into medicine to really make a difference. You know, they want to help people, but they get funneled into this system where they don't really have that much time with each patient. So it's like, what are your symptoms? Here's your medication, and come back in 6 months or whatever, we'll adjust that, you know, see what your symptoms are at that point. And often it's like stacked. You know, my wife's mom died from just messing up one of her 27 pharmaceutical medications. 27 pharmaceutical medications because her doctor was just pushing more and more medications because she had more and more symptoms. And of course, you look at, we're one of only 2 countries that allows pharmaceutical companies to advertise on TV.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you listen to these advertisements, and And it's like, oh my God, there's so many side effects that they rattle off at the end. And it's like, why would I risk having a bleeding colon just because I have a little bit of a headache, you know?
Wouldn't it be better if I just stretched so I wasn't as tense?
Yeah, drink some water.
Yeah.
Some electrolytes.
Have healthy salt instead of anyway.
Yeah.
So there is a question I have to ask though, because I mean, I am not a person who has really dug too deeply into the whole holistic medications and natural medications. So allopathic medicine, and that's kind of all I know as a person. And I'm sure a lot of like people, especially in the American culture where it's more prevalent, feel the same way. And I'm not trying to challenge your beliefs or make you have to argue and stand your ground. I'm just genuinely curious, like, is there a certain point where you say, okay, maybe allopathic medication or medicine is the path to go for like people who are suffering through like, since this is more of a mental health focused show, like, CPTSD, or for me, I have a generalized anxiety disorder, like, and I take medications for that. Like, is there a certain area where you're like, oh, maybe medication is the best route? Or do you think that there's holistic answers to most of these things? Or honestly, does it just depend on the person?
I think allopathic medicine is really great for acute issues. Mm-hmm. If I get mangled in a car wreck, I don't want to go see a naturopath, right? Or if your heart's about to totally fail, right? And I mean, they have incredible technology for dealing with acute issues. The problem is our culture relies on that system for general health and wellness, and it's not the right system for general health and wellness. Just to give an example, if you have heartburn, often you'll go see a doctor, they put you on a protein pump inhibitor. So that what that does is it shuts down your body's production of hydrochloric acid, right? And the reason you have heartburn is because you don't have enough hydrochloric acid, and it's not breaking down your food, and the food will push back up and push the acid up into your esophagus. You have heartburn. So the hydrochloric acid is crucial for our digestive system. If you don't have that, you're setting yourself up for bacterial overgrowth or fungal overgrowth in the colon, or parasite, like major, like that. The hydrochloric acid is the body's first defense against parasites. So they put you on a protein pump inhibitor, which the medication says you should only be on for a week at the most. I have clients who have been on that for 3 years, and what that does is it really messes up the digestive system. Not just the digestive system, but your body's absorption of all the limited nutrients that are in the food we're eating, right? And so people get sicker and sicker, and so that's an example of not honoring the symptom, just wanting to mitigate the symptom, right? So if someone has heartburn, acid reflux, and they go see my wife, she'll put them on a test to see if they're making enough hydrochloric acid, which is really easy. You take a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda with water first thing in the morning, and if you burp within 2 minutes, you're making some hydrochloric acid because it's an acid mixed with a base. It creates a gas. And if you don't burp within 2 minutes, you're not making hydrochloric acid. You do that 3 days in a row, and you know if you need hydrochloric acid or not. So a lot of these people, she'll actually put on hydrochloric acid, which is the opposite, because she's honoring the symptom, which is the opposite of like stifling the symptom. The symptom's there for a reason. Let's look at the underlying cause of that. And for that one, it's not enough hydrochloric acid, and they do the opposite of what's done to heal it. And that's just one example. It's like there's so many of those. So people go to their doctor and say, "Oh, I got on this medication and took care of my problem." Well, no, it didn't. Now you're set yourself up for like a whole bunch of different problems. My wife had a client who came in. She has patients clients who fill out this really extensive health appraisal questionnaire, and he had written down his medications. He was on 3 different high blood pressure medications. And so he comes in and she's like, "So you've got high blood pressure?" And he goes, "No, I don't." And she's like, well, you're on 3 high blood pressure medications. He's like, yeah, so I don't have high blood pressure. And that's the mentality. It's like, she's like, okay, so if you got off the medication, you'd have high blood pressure. You do have high blood pressure.
So you have high blood pressure and you're masking it with these medications.
Yeah. So let's get down to the reason that you have high blood pressure, right? And that's the difference between functional medicine and allopathic medicine. So there is a place for allopathic medicine. And we should be leaning toward functional medicine for our general health and wellness. And there's a lot of resources for that, man. Dr. Mark Hyman, he's got a great podcast. He's written a bunch of books, all kinds of information on that. Yeah, Aaron?
Yeah, so the way that my brain keeps telling me this is, so allopathic medicine is great for taking care of your corpse. This body that we're in is just our corpse. Our soul has more shit to do after it had shit to do before.
Yeah.
And this shell that I'm in is a corpse. Allopaths are great at that because the liver kind of generally does this. And if this is wonky, then you do this and it kind of levels back out. Yeah. But a naturopath is going to look at you as the human being. And if you're like, my back hurts, they're going to be like, okay, well, let me see how they walk. Are their hip flexors tight? Are they nervous and shut off? So they actually need a little bit of like almost talk therapy to open back up and make them confident. So they walk with their chest up and their hip flexors extended instead of contracted all day.
Yeah.
Is that because, and one way they really monetized the whole doctoring field is they moved them out of the communities. So they no longer care about their patients. They're in an insane amount of debt. So they have to make a bunch of money. And how do they make money? By just prescribing you the thing that you walk in and say, hey, the TV said I should ask you about this medication for this symptom that they're making me have because they're feeding me garbage. And it's all owned by the same people.
Yeah. Yeah. But back to your question, Tim, like, how do we expose ourselves to this? You just have to start to look because there's so much out there now, but you have to be open to, there's a really good book called Good Energy by Callie Means. And she was a Stanford trained medical doctor who realized that through her whole training in Stanford, top of her class, she realized through her whole training at Stanford, she didn't really learn about what causes all these chronic diseases.
Dr. Gabor Mate.
About how to deal with them, right? Or basically, deal with the symptoms, not really deal with the disease itself. And so she wrote this whole book on, it's called Good Energy, and it kind of goes through the history of all this and also like what can be done. But the big elephant in the room is that we have to take responsibility for our health. And once you do that, you start to look for what can I do to take responsibility for my health, right?
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful that functional medicine, it used to be pretty obscure, and now there's so much information out there, and all you have to do is become open to it. It's just a difference in mindset.
Yeah. I don't want to like diverge the episode because I think we've had a very good conversation about allopathic versus functional and naturopathic medicine. But I just kind of want to point out for the audience here, this is like baby's first big pharma conspiracy theory, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm familiar with big pharma and the whole concept of like, it's more profitable to treat the symptom than to cure the disease or whatever. Like, I understand all that. It just kind of blows my mind that this is still something that's popping up in the day to day. And like, there's better solutions to take care of your typical day to day bodily needs rather than just getting a medicine that's going to actually make things worse in the long run. Because it reminds me of Aaron's story about how he was on painkillers for like 3 years because of his back pain. And then a doctor was like, you're supposed to be on those for a few months. Like, we probably should be looking at an ulterior method.
I wonder why
trying
I
to
have
fix your pain.
Early onset fatty liver while I'm 165 pounds and maybe 10% body fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it just blows my mind because, because I'm sitting here now and that I'm engaged in this conversation because it's not something that I think about on the day to day, right? Like I wake up, I take my medicine, I go to my job and I do the damn thing, right? I don't think about it on the day to day, but now I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, man, what kind of teas should I be taking to kind of help lower my anxieties?
Chamomile?
Or like, well, yeah, chamomile, lavender, whatever, right? But I'm like, and that general idea, because you mentioned like the fungus thing, and like I live in Italy where the houses have like no airflow, so like fungus buildup
It
is
sounds
a
like you
massive
already know
issue.
the solutions. You need more air circulation. You need more time sitting down with a cup of tea.
I need a fungus detox is what I need.
I think we both do.
After 5 years of living in Italy, I think I need a fungus detox. But, like I'm just sitting here in the parasitic detox as well. Like I'm just sitting here thinking about like,
I think we're going to bring on Nicole next.
Yeah,
these are
awesome.
these are very accessible things that sound like, okay, at worst, right? At worst, I do a fungal cleanse and it actually doesn't do anything for me, right? That's at worst. At best, it helps me. So like
it's only positives. The thing that I argue with you the most about.
There's only a net positive. There's only a net positive here. Like it at the end of the day, if it's like, oh, it doesn't actually really do a whole lot or whatever, it doesn't actually change my quality of life. Okay, cool. Well, it didn't make my life significantly worse. I mean, that's I think very important to understand here. And on the opposite end, it could potentially increase my day-to-day life significantly. So why not try it?
Well, that was my experience. When I did my first fungal cleanse, I was shocked at how good I felt. Like I had no idea that was a potential until I felt it. The mental clarity, the sleep, the energy, all of that was way boosted. And I was like, whoa, like the way I was feeling, I thought was normal. And, and then all of a sudden I'm like amped up like 10 times,
Because you had mentioned in, I think it was our first episode with
died.
you, the 8,000 heart movements.
Yeah.
You were talking about how like you started realizing your short-term memory had been like shot to hell and like you could hardly remember things. And then Nicole was like, hey, maybe you need a fungus cleanse. And like all the, you go through the fungus cleanse and you're like, yeah. And, I felt significantly, and we only briefly touched on it, but I remember keeping that in the back of my mind. I'm glad you brought it back up.
And the 80-20 rule tells us that if 20 people have found this healing, there's another 80% that still need it. So if you're listening to this, you found it, you've never heard of a fungal cleanse.
Hey, give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot.
I know I am.
Yeah, I'm about to ask Nicole, how do I go on about this?
Yeah. There's also a good website, Dr. I think it's Doug Kaufman, I want to say, called Know the Cause, KNOW, Know the Cause. And he talks about how fungus is related to a lot of different cancers, to dementia, to a lot of the things that are really rampant in our culture right now. And you know what feeds cancer?
Sugar.
Fungus. Oh.
Look how much sugar is in our foods by design, right?
Yeah.
And because it's so addictive, it's more addictive than cocaine is. And so you can kind of see like the pattern. We have massive amounts of cancer that are happening. It's happening in kids now quite a bit. All kinds of cancers that is just like year by year going way, way, way up. And our food is just like chock full of sugar. And, so it's, and then we have this toxic overload from all the pesticides and herbicides and different things in our environment. So there's a way to mitigate all that. It's through cleansing, right? And, you don't really understand how good you can feel because you start to feel like the way that you feel. Like a lot of people think the afternoon energy crash is normal, the disrupted sleep is normal, the anxiety is normal, the depression is normal, the losing the memory is normal, And
no, it is not normal.
It's not normal.
No.
It's the norm. But it's not like our potential, right? And because it's the norm, people think that's just how it is for everyone. But then there are these outliers, the people who really pay attention to that, who do the work. And, there's this amount of vitality that we can achieve that's just that's just mind blowing. I'll work 12, 15 hours in my office straight through without a break. You don't really hear body workers doing that, and I do that day after day after day. I have been doing that for decades. And that takes a certain amount of vitality to get away with that, right? And I don't let anything slip. My sleep is a huge priority. Cleansing, the right diet, the right mindset, venting energy, all these different things combined. And you were talking about anxiety. There's a thing, the thing my dog chewed up. It's called the pulsetto. So there's the vagus nerve in the body that is the master nerve of the body, right? It connects the brain to all the organs. And if you stimulate the vagus nerve, it puts you into a parasympathetic state. So parasympathetic, you have better digestion, your heart rate goes down, better mental clarity. There's a lot of physiological effects that happen. And I bought myself a pulsetto, and I bought my wife one, and we use them before bed. We have these apps that track our sleep, right? And she was sleeping all night, but she was only getting about half an hour of deep sleep, which is really important to get at least an hour and a half of deep sleep a night. And her deep sleep went up to an average of an hour and a half when she started using the pulsetto. It also helps with burnout, fatigue. And you can buy that online. It costs like $300.
I'm so sorry your dog chewed that up. That is so
I know. I immediately bought another one. It's effective. There are things you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve naturally. You can hum. You can put your face in cold water. You can gargle till your eyes water.
There's some ear work you can do.
Those are 3 things you can do to stimulate the vagus nerve. What's that?
There's ear work you can do.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
Yeah, pulling on the ears, looking over the shoulder. That's how EMDR works, is since you're looking left and right when you're going through a traumatic memory, when you're actually under threat, you can only look straight ahead. Because when your eyes move, you're actually blind while they're moving.
Right.
So if you're looking left and right frantically, that tells your brain, I must be safe because I'm not focused on any one thing.
Interesting.
So all these things are just like us working collaboratively with our body instead of doing the profitable thing, which is just throwing either frozen syrup and plastic in it or cardboard covered in sugar water that's been freeze dried fast enough that you're going to have to eat a second bowl after you eat the first bowl.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I love Cheerios.
This is why I keep talking
I'm not sure
about
why I feel
gardening and the commune and because I want us to heal. We have to heal the entire community to heal the whole self.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can help with some links in the description for some of these solutions we could either get from Ryan or his wife, Nicole, who will be coming on the show, because we have to heal every body for our body to be healed.
Yeah. Yeah.
For our consciousness to be elevated, we have to elevate every consciousness.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there's mental part of that, and there's physical part of that.
Spiritual.
It's hard to have a good outlook on life when your body is giving you problems.
Yeah, that's something I said to Melissa Height recently.
Yeah,
I said it's so hard to be grateful for my body when it's giving me this much pain here lately.
Yeah, and I work on some pretty severe pain syndromes in my office, and those people are in a rough place mentally. It starts to affect everything.
Hello.
So it's a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said before, we get to work with these challenges because it advances us, but they're also a pain in the ass.
Yeah, big facts.
There's 2 sides to
big
it.
facts.
You have to do the work to have the work be done.
Yeah.
So we are running up on the end of our recording here, Ryan. My computer is about to die probably in the next 15 minutes. So I do want to give you the opportunity here real quick. Is there anything that you would like to let the audience leave them with, something to chew on until the next time we get to sit down and talk to you? Because we've kind of touched on a couple major topics here. We discussed about the bees, the mass extinction event that we're currently living through. We talked about
a new era,
allopathic,
tower generation.
Functional medicine as well. I mean, we got a lot of awesome stuff that we got to kind of talk about and digest in this episode. So is there something that you want to really, get our listeners hone in on this. Look at this. Like, what do you got for them, Ryan?
Well, to me, the big thing is you get to choose between being judgmental and having fear and feeling overwhelmed as opposed to excitement. And the difference between the two is where you put your focus, right? Because it's all out there. All of those things. If you want to have judgment, there's plenty of things you can find to have judgment about.
Yep.
If you want to have excitement, there's plenty of things you can find to have excitement about. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I get excited to see the replacements of all the dysfunctional systems. And the replacements are really gaining a lot of steam. So start to look into those things, man. Look into
grassroots organizations,
functional medicine. Look into what's happening with biodynamic farming and the food farm movement. Even things, the really gnarly things like the child sex trafficking and all that. I mean, that's really being exposed. The P. Diddy thing and Epstein Island and all this.
And if we don't do anything,
going on for a long time.
Nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more that
Prince
we become
testified.
aware of those things. So you can look at that and be overwhelmed and disgusted, but you can also look at that from a different point of view and be like happy that those things are being exposed, because that's, for something to change, it needs to be exposed. And those things have been going on for so long, you know.
It's not we have to fix it, it's we get to fix it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I could go on and on about different systems, you know, the education system and some replacements that are happening with that. And
hello, Mr. Chaz, conscious discipline.
I don't know about that.
I'll have to introduce you.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting
caring about the
school of
child
thought.
and teaching the child the way the child is meant to learn.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. And so finding out what they're passionate about and creating an education around that. The Waldorf Institute is incredible for that. And so there are alternatives. I was bored out of my mind in school up until junior year of high school when I took an anatomy class. I didn't care at all through school, all C's, D's, and F's. Till I took anatomy, then I got straight A's because I finally found something that I was passionate about. If I'd have found something I was passionate about in elementary school, that would have
saved you some time, at least.
Yeah, saved me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it'd been awesome. You know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of examples of that, but really the big thing is just look for the things that give you excitement. And don't put your head in the sand about the things that are gnarly, but just understand that those things that we're seeing that are gnarly, they've been there and they're coming to the surface. The reason we're seeing them is because they're on the surface now and they're being dealt with. But look for the replacements of those things and then start to research that stuff. And the excitement builds more and more and more. And then you can start to see what you can do in your community. Is there something you can donate money to? Is there something you can volunteer for? Even just the excitement itself sends an energetic vibration out to those things, you know? Yeah.
Ryan.
So
amazing.
Thank you for sharing so much wisdom with us. I one of Tim's top 5. I'm flabbergasted. All of your episodes I've had to listen to like 5 to 10 times. And I'm still honestly reliving our first conversation when I just walked around an empty parking lot for 3 hours one night at work.
Oh yeah.
So
that was fun.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you talked in your earlier episodes and in this episode about mastery being getting better consistently. The fact that you're amazing at your job and helping people heal as a structural massage therapist is because you have over 60,000 hours. In Kung Fu, we say it takes 1,000 hours to master a spear, 10,000 hours to master a broadsword, and 100,000 hours to master a straight sword, the Tai Chi sword.
Wow.
But you get to choose your level of dedication to your craft. Do you want to do something that takes 1,000 hours to master? Or do you want to be like me and Tim and pick something called podcasting that takes 10,000 hours to master and understand that it's going to be a labor all 10,000 hours? Or do you want to be a Ryan Higginson and be willing to dedicate 100,000 hours of your life learning how to heal your soul and your body and your mind. Because we have 3 pillars: mind, body, soul. If you don't have 3 solid points, you can't track the plane. You can't create a level surface. So, Ryan, thank you for, again, the 4th time coming on our show and just pouring wisdom into us and our audience. We'll be forever grateful, and it's going to help us call up joy and call up gratitude a lot more in our lives. So, seriously, ho'opo'ono and thank you, and whatever other words, witam for my Polish listeners. Yeah, thank you.
I do want to give a huge shout out to you as well, Ryan. The biggest thing that I have been going through a lot lately is the concept of the healing soul to soul. Because I know there's a lot of people who are no longer in my life that I still wish that there was a way I could heal with them, or heal a past connection with them. And that has stuck with me a lot. And I really love it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful concept. That episode is criminally underwatched versus your other episodes. So I hope the people listening to this amazing episode think, wow, I need more Ryan Higginson in my life. I'm going to go check out episode number 3, Tim's favorite episode. And then I'm going to circle back and go to episode number 1, Aaron's
77,
favorite.
78. Those are the Ryan episodes.
And then we're going to get to episode 2 that discusses how death can be beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're all going to have a collective cry together. But hey, look, this show wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for the audience, if it wasn't for you guys sitting here listening and enjoying and learning along with us. We have the opportunity to sit here with somebody as intelligent and well attuned to his body and to the world around him, like Ryan Higginson. Aaron is getting so close to that area. I am so far away from it, but I love every step that I'm taking towards it. So I hope you guys are enjoying the ride as well. Thank you all very much. You guys are amazing.
Our third to last reminder, if you don't have a Sangha, you can join ours. It's going to be in Coolville, Ohio. We're taking over. Come by some cool old buildings. We'll meditate together. We'll start this 8,000 Hearts movement, and we'll see it through. Because it's not about doing it once. It's about doing it 10,000 times and then doing it 100,000 times. Because you can only speak wisely if you're speaking from experience. Come learn with us. We're happy to have you here. And
I want a bee colony so bad.
Dude, we are going to have bees.
You should do it.
We're going to have
So
bees.
I want one so bad. I will be so excited. Because I feel like you mentioned it earlier and I didn't get the chance to respond to it. But when the person talked about their hive dying, I had to imagine that it must feel the same as like losing a dear pet. I'm like, that's your hive. Like you spent time and, you're nurturing it, and to watch it die because people were that's awful. Anyway, sorry, Aaron.
We all know no streetlights is about signifying there's nothing outside of you that's going to rescue you. The light that illuminates your path is going to come from within you. So you have to love, accept, forgive, and really grow within yourself to fulfill your destiny. But the people keeping the streetlights on in this neighborhood are...
We have our great friends, Jason Grooms, Atticus Thatcher. If you don't listen to his music, you are wrong. Go check it out. It's beautiful. And, of course, the beautiful, as always, Eric Spears.
Then we also have Ketria Hausner, who we're bringing on as our director of gratitude. We're incredibly blessed to be working with her. She's been helping us out and growing with us forever.
And grateful.
And then we also have Highland Markle.
Gratitude.
The man who's connected me with some pretty incredible medicine, and Ryan Higginson as a result of that, and really helped me advance my soul's purpose from where it was to where it is. I've finally bothered him enough that he'll be releasing new music, and hopefully I can talk him and Atticus into doing a little NSLP stuff with us sometime. So stay tuned.
Splendid.
We got a final reminder. That reminder is our podcast cannot be substituted for professional medical advice. If you need help now, you can call 911 or you can text or call 988 for immediate intervention. You could use the code betterhelp.com for NSLP, and you get these benefits that Tim E is going to explain.
Yeah, if you go to betterhelp.com/NSLP, not only will it save you 10% off on your first month with BetterHelp, but it'll give you access to a licensed therapist in the comfort of your own home, on the go, wherever it is that you would like to have a session with your therapist. You can do it via your phone, tablet, laptop, whatever's convenient for you. If you have an Echo Show, it probably works on there. Don't quote me on that. Not 100% sure. I don't have an Echo Show. That's not the point, though. The point is, it's therapy at your convenience, at your fingertips, and it's going to help you become the person that you envision yourself to be at your greatest. So go check it out, betterhelp.com/NSLP. We're so happy that we have the opportunity to work with them and sponsored by them. So go give it a shot.
Tim, say the thing.
As always, be good to yourselves and each other.
We love ya.
Peace.
Oh no.
Pew, 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 pew.
No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold.